welcome back to the channel, everybody. So these next couple of videos here will be about looking at powering the Tesla by solar. Is it possible? Is it a good idea? Lots and lots of questions to talk about, so I'll give an overview in this video and then dive into more details later on. So when I went up north to look at Site C, this is what it looks like. So even though it's clean energy, of course, with hydroelectricity in general, it is a significant amount of disturbance to the land. So I've always been interested in solar, so I thought I'd finally try it out. And of course there's impacts with solar as well, but let's see how it goes. So this is what it looked like a couple days ago, and I'll start talking about how it all started. So first of all, is solar a good idea, and should you even do it? In BC, Canada, where I live, we have a very clean grid, about 97% from clean sources, according to BC Hydro, mostly from hydroelectricity. So why would you even bother to put up solar panels if you're not really making much of a difference in terms of carbon emission reduction? But the reason I believe it's still worthwhile is because any excess electricity that BC has, by me not using electricity from BC Hydro, will leave more available for BC to sell to other provinces, like into the states to the south of us or into Alberta. And there it will be offsetting electricity generated by natural gas or coal, which would make much of quite a bigger difference than if that wasn't available. So next question is, does it make sense from a cost perspective? As you can see from this graph, Canada has one of the cheapest electricity rates in the world. So why would you do it? Would it be more expensive than just buying power from the grid? Surprisingly, no. If you look at this graph here, BC, even inside Canada, has one of the cheapest rates in Canada. So a few years ago when I started looking at solar, 5 or 6 years ago, the price of generating electricity from solar panels on your roof was about the same over the 25 to 30 year life of the panels as it would be buying it from the grid. Lots of things have changed in the last few years. So now if you get solar panels installed on your house in BC, they will pay for themselves in about 10 years, and the average price of power for the electricity generated from those panels is around 8 cents a kilowatt hour Canadian dollars, compared to about 12.5 cents to buy it from the grid. If you install it yourself and with the rebates, those numbers get even better. So I started looking into what I could do. So the first thing I did is look at a site called opensolar.org, I believe, or opensolar.com. And you can create a free account there, and you can map out the solar panels that you're interested in putting on your house. It'll use a satellite image, and you can pick the exact panels that you're interested in getting and figure out how much electricity you can generate and what the panel layout might look like. So as I mentioned a minute ago, one of the things that's really changed the payback on solar panels just in the last 6 months or so in Canada is that the federal government has made a $5,600 grant available for putting in solar panels or heat pumps or other technologies like that. And just in the last few weeks, they also have an up to $40,000 interest-free loan that people are also able to access for putting in systems like this. So that's made a big difference. So after you decide what types of panels and what size of panels you want on your house, the next thing to look at is what types of inverters you'll want. So inverters are what converts the DC electricity, direct current, generated by the solar panels into AC electricity at 220 volts that can be used by your house. There are two main types of systems that are used currently in the industry to do that. And one is called microinverters, which two companies use. The main one is Enphase, and the newer one is AP Systems. So those ones convert the electricity from DC to AC on your roof. And the other main system in use is a string inverter, which sits in your garage. And they have these things called optimizers, which take into account shading and make the system run more efficiently. I decided to choose the AP Systems microinverters for various reasons, which I can get into in another video. And those you can see in this schematic here. So each set of 2 solar panels is connected to one microinverter, which is mounted on the roof underneath the panels. And then the 220 volt AC line comes down from the roof and into the panel in the house. So a few weeks after ordering all the parts, they started arriving at my place. So here's the 30 panels sitting in the garage, which take up quite a bit of space. They are about 1 meter wide by 2 meters high. So we got up on the roof and started marking out the arrays. You can see the chalk lines there. So what we did first is we marked out the center line of the array, and then we started measuring out the calculated amount to the left and right of where the array would end in each section. Then we measured the location of the rails. They're supposed to be roughly 20% of the panel height from the top and 20% from the bottom. So we marked those out, and then once the rail locations were marked out, we started marking out the locations of the mounting feet. So the mounting system I bought is called Fast Track Solar. I'll put a link in the description. So based on the limited experience I have with it so far, I'd highly recommend it. And one of the key features of this that makes it desirable in my opinion is that you don't have to find your trusses to connect it to. It just screws straight into your sheathing. So as long as my system doesn't fly off the roof in a few months, I think this is a pretty easy system compared to some others I've seen. So once the 10 screws are put in for each of the feet, this flashing is put in underneath, and this is what it looks like when it's done. It looks pretty waterproof. There's this mastic type material underneath the screws and on the bolt. So it looks like it should work fairly well. Once all the feet are installed, you can see the T-tracks go on with a simple bolt system. Just make sure they're level. There's some adjustability there. And then once all the rails are in place, the inverters go on with just a simple bolt. The panels go on with T-track set screws with some end clamps and some mid clamps between the panels, and the plus and minus cables from each panel clicks into the bottom of the inverter. This is what the 2 cables on the back of the panels look like, and they have separate connectors, so you can't really get those wrong. They just tell you to make sure you don't cross the wires when you connect them up. The wiring from the inverters at 220 volt AC then comes into this thing called a Solaredge, which is just basically a junction box that mounts on the roof. So the AC wire comes in, goes through a hole into your attic, and runs down through there to the panel. The center connector here is the ground wire that comes out for the rails. So will it work and make sense in the end? Who knows? I haven't finished the install yet, but I'll definitely make a few more videos as I continue on through the process here, and stay tuned to the channel. Please like and subscribe and share with your friends if you're interested in the content, and send me any feedback on the types of questions you have about solar, or the types of things you'd like to see more video on in terms of specific details. Hope you enjoy the content. Have a great day.